have spent the entire offseason offering you facts about the Minnesota Vikings, their situation, the NFC North, how things could play out. Let's be honest. This show is going to be a little more about feelings. How do you feel about this team? How do you feel things could go? We're going to get deep into our emotions here. And we're going to talk about Mike Zimmer on the Viking Update Show. He's John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. Viking Update is brought to you by the Minnesota Lottery Vikings Scratch Game Edition. Check it out. We'll tell you more about that later. We're live from the Aquarius Home Services Studio. I want to thank our many sponsors, including Natrium. New to check out Natrium, do all kinds of CBD, THC stuff. I love their stuff. Check them out. Crazy Fresh, Chew Vision, Twill in the Edina Galleria, and again, the Minnesota Lottery Vikings Scratch Game. All right, John, let's just get right to it before we get to Mike Zimmer. Just how do you feel on the eve of the Vikings opener?
I would say probably kind of the way that I've felt for much of this off season. It's just unsettled. I do think that I've seen, some things that to be encouraged about going into this season. When you look at the defense, I think the improvement that we're going to see there, when I actually think Sam Darnold might be okay. But when you look at a lot of the injuries, when you look at just a lot of the things that have been swirling around this team for much of the offseason, I really don't have a good feel for how they're going to come out of the gates. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but I just think it's really important to play well and win against the Giants on the road to open this season if this is a team that wants to surprise people and be in the playoff conversation down the stretch. So I'm just super intrigued. I could see any number of scenarios playing out here, just because of how weird and wonky this whole last probably 2.5 months has been for this franchise.
Yeah, I'm pessimistic. And for the record, I hope I'm wrong, because I love covering the Vikings. I love NFL season. I love when a local team is playing meaningful games in any sport. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're in contention all year. I hope they surprise me, surprise a lot of us. I just look at, Sam Darnold. Even if he plays well, he's probably the least talented quarterback in the division. And man, I do think the Giants game is really important for him. They win that one. At least they have a little bit of a buffer. Then they go San Francisco, Houston, Green Bay, the Jets. Odds are, even if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt later in the season, he's still healthy for that one. Then Detroit. Then the Rams, who might be a bear. Then the Colts, who might be a bear. Jacksonville might be a playoff team. Tennessee might be a playoff team. Then the Bears. It's like I just don't see many. I just see this team being in a position where, they're without Hawkinson. They're without McCarthy. We don't know if Addison's going to play week one. And we don't know how well Darnold will play in this offense under these circumstances. And I just see it. Certainly there's a path to them being in contention, but I think it's a difficult path.
Yeah. I think most people are saying that this is the fourth team in the division. Maybe if things go exactly the right way, or better than expected, let's say, they could be third, but it just seems to be a hard scenario to envision that they are better than Green Bay or Detroit, who are both just really, really good teams that have a chance to literally go to the Super Bowl. And for a long time, the NFC North has been a division that's just been okay, mediocre, decent. Now it's a really good division. And so when you add the improvement in the division foes that we're going to see this year, clearly with, I think, Chicago is going to be better. I do think that Detroit might be the best team in the NFC. And I think Green Bay is really dangerous. And then you add that on top of the rest of the schedule that they're going to play. It just makes it really tough sledding for a team that's just kind of in this transition mode. They're trying to hold on to things. They're trying to remain competitive. But they still, I think, are a few big pieces away, especially at quarterback, to really call themselves a team that can really exchange punches with two of the best teams in the division, and then in the NFC, and then a team in Chicago that has a ton of talent and is sort of rising. And so it's as much a reflection of the improvement around them as it is sort of any sort of step back that this roster may or may not be taking. And so for all of those reasons, yeah, I would definitely, this is one of the more, one of the lower expectations I've had for a Vikings team going into a season.
Yes. All right. Listen, Mike Zimmer is front of mind for everybody at this moment. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a moment here to talk about Mike Zimmer, and then we'll go back to the roster, the schedule, the breakdown. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the people who, if they play extremely well, if they perform extremely well, could elevate this team to a team we're going to be very interested in December and January. But let's go to it. Mark Craig from my paper goes out to California, has a long sit down with Zimmer. Zimmer rips everybody and everything, goes scorched earth. And as I wrote in my column on the subject, it's just so apparent why things fell apart for this organization, because Zimmer got to a point where everything was somebody else's fault. And he almost reminded me of Bobby Knight in that, hey, I can strangle my players. I can scream at my players. I can cuss people out. I can throw chairs across the floor. I can do whatever I want. But you can't, but I'm right. Everything I do is right. And if you criticize me, you are a demon. I really think Zimmer psychologically got to a point where the most important thing for him was that everything was somebody else's fault.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that one of the things that was most apparent to me at the end of his tenure was the selfishness that pervaded that entire team. And I mean, you're talking about players who were looking much more at their individual values, goals, all those things over the team concept. You were looking at coaches and front office members who wouldn't talk to each other, who were sort of like bunkering in their own kind of silos and pointing fingers, or at least like just exasperated with each other. There was nothing about the organization that was connected at all. And that was a reflection of the head coach's selfishness, of his stubbornness, of his my way or the highway stuff. And you can be that, Jim. You can be Bobby Knight if you win. We saw it with Bobby Knight at the end of his career as well. When you are not winning at the highest level, people are not going to put up with that approach nearly as much as they would as if you were piling up victories and doing those sorts of things. And so Zimmer clearly lost this team, and they had enough of him. And he is a very good coach. I think he really knows what he's doing defensively. I think there were, like you said in your column, he had gripes that were absolutely valid. But there was not enough owning or accountability from himself to allow him to push his players the way that he pushed his players. And it was remarkably self-absorbed. And so, one thing I loved about Zimmer's comments to Mark Craig, and kudos to him for being able to get that all of that content, but Zimmer didn't do anything but be himself. There was no diplomacy. There was no straddling the fence. He said exactly what he felt, and he gave everyone a real window into why this thing had to end with him. It's unfortunate because he was a really good coach, and I think could have had an even longer run had he looked in the mirror a little bit, had he had some sort of humility and accountability, but he never did. And so all of the Vikings fans got to really see what pissed everyone off here about Mike Zimmer so much at the end, and just why it was not going to be sustainable.
More to come. We do want to welcome our newest sponsor, Natrium. CBD, THC, drinks, gummies, all the good stuff. So one right down the street from me, there's probably one pretty close to you. I was in Vegas hanging out with some friends a few years ago, had a few drinks one night. They wanted to have drinks the next night. I was like, I don't know. I don't feel all that great. Said, how about some gummies? It's like, what? He said, how about some gummies? So I tried some gummies that they had gotten at their local dispensary and just had a good night. Felt great, slept well, woke up the next day without a hangover, didn't have all the extra calories. I felt sharp. It was awesome. It's like, when is this coming to Minnesota? Well, guess what? It's here now. And my favorite place to go is Natrium, N-A-T-R-E-U-M. Check out the location near you. I like the vanilla cream soda. And this is vanilla cream soda with a little bit extra to it. I like the nano gummies. I like the Canada Sleep Fuel. I like the green apple hard candies. I plan on trying the turmeric. There's so much I haven't gotten to. It's not because I don't want to try it all. It's because there's so much. They have so many options, so many flavors, so many different varieties of delivery, whether it's gummy, hard candies, the dips, sodas, whatever. They have so many options. I look forward to trying all of them. Again, I like having a drink, but this is such a great way to have a relaxing evening without the calories, without the hangover, without the headache. And it's just so easy. I love easy. So check out Natrium, check out the location near you. You can also get it shipped. And as we go forward here, I'm going to tell you about more options, more varieties, more stuff I've tried. Natrium, I believe it's for you. Also, great time of the year for dips, for pre-made meals, for salads. I'm going with Crazy Fresh. Attention all football fans, this season Crazy Fresh is bringing you the ultimate game day experience with our Gold Ticket Sweepstakes. Craving a win? Look no further than your favorite Crazy Fresh taco dip. Hidden inside select packages, you could find a gold ticket, your instant pass to a professional football game. But that's not all. Scan the QR code under the lid for your chance to win big. 75-inch TVs, Blackstone griddles, and more. It's time to gear up and get in on the action. The Crazy Fresh Gold Ticket Sweepstakes is running now through January 31st. Don't miss out. Pick up your Crazy Fresh taco dip today and start winning. Crazy Fresh, where game day just got fresher.
Yeah, I'm a brand new man, Jim, this week. If for listeners of the John Krawczynski show over the last month or more, I've been telling you all about True Vision Institute in Bloomington. And we've been talking a lot about the help that they gave me in the consultation to figure out how to correct my vision once and for all, and all the process of going through it. Well, finally, last week, I was able to go in and have LASIK surgery at True Vision. And I've talked to people who have had it before, and they all say how much it changes their lives. I'm like, all right, come on. Can it really be that good? And here I am, less than a week out from surgery. And I'm telling you, it is that good. For the first time since I've been in fourth grade, I don't have glasses or contacts to mess with. I don't have to worry about going in for, every year or two for vision checkups and for new glasses and putting hundreds of dollars into new glasses or new contacts. A contact gets ripped and I got to go replace that. The best thing about it is I wake up in the morning and I'm not fumbling around for my glasses so I can see, check my phone, look over at my wife and see her face. Like I'm seeing 100% clearly. And it happened almost immediately after the surgery. I went in for the surgery last week and I was a little nervous. You had a laser pointed at your eye. It's nerve wracking, but, the people at True Vision were so welcoming and calming and comforting, that it really took a lot of the anxiety away for me for the procedure itself. I was in and out in a little over an hour. The procedure itself actually only takes a couple of minutes. They do what they need to do to get your eyes fixed and they get you on your way. My mom gave me a ride home. I spent the night just kind of resting, sleeping. When I woke up the next morning, seeing 100% clearly, could drive to my follow-up appointment, 20/20 vision. Everything was great. And I still am kind of walking around pinching myself right now that I can't believe I don't have glasses or contacts anymore. And Dr. Chu was absolutely phenomenal through the process. I was nervous. He has a very soothing, calming voice. He takes you through it very easily. He puts you at ease. He makes you feel comfortable when you're on the table getting the procedure done. And it just was really helpful for me in just kind of taking away a lot of the nervousness that I had about it. He was so easygoing and was so reassuring, and just talked me through everything. It only took a few minutes to get done. And then I was out the door and on my way. A week later, I feel great. I'm seeing perfectly. I wish I would have done it 10 years ago. Go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krawczynski show sent you. But honestly, I cannot speak highly enough about my experience there and about the results. It's just life-changing stuff.
All right, just to wrap up, I don't want to go on and on about Zimmer. We have more other things to get into. But I'll just say that, like, if you're a consumer, if you're a sports fan, if you're like always trying to figure out what's going on, and you read different media outlets and you're trying to figure out who has good insights, who has good information, who doesn't. I mean, this is one of those situations where people who actually go out and cover the teams, beat writers from the Star Tribune, beat writers from the Athletic, people who invest themselves in coverage on a daily basis, who know the people, when they tell you things are dysfunctional, it's dysfunctional. Nobody wants to cover a dysfunctional team. If we tell you it's dysfunctional, it's because it just is.
That's exactly right. And at the time, Mike Zimmer, even though things weren't going perfectly on the field, still had a very high approval rating from fans, I think, in general, because he was this straight shooter. You know, he is what everyone pictured their high school football coach to be back in the day when they played at Blaine or at Eden Prairie or wherever you all were from. And there is sort of a nostalgia for that type of approach in this new day and age of Kevin O'Connell's of the world, who are more open door, who are more communicative, all those things. And I think that there can be sort of a hand wringing and a looking down your nose at these kids are soft these days, and this was a real football coach, and these are how it was when I was growing up, and that's what we need. But when you see it from like really tearing apart a team from the inside out, it's our obligation to cover that and write it. And we're obviously going to get blowback from fans saying that we're, making things up or using hyperbole or blowing things out of proportion. But there was no way that we were doing that. And basically Zimmer confirmed all that. The other thing that was great about the Mark Craig piece is Eric Kendricks confirmed it all again as well. He didn't back away from his comments that he made as the season was coming to a close. He did say that maybe I shouldn't have said it, or we all say things we shouldn't have said, but he didn't deny the truth of the matter, which was that team was absolutely falling apart. And those are not fun locker rooms to walk into. Those are not fun conversations to have, but that's our job, is to have those and to give fans a window into the dynamic of the team, because it in the NFL, it takes a heck of a lot more than just X's and O's to win at a high level. More than almost any other sport, I really do think you need to have people bought in to what the leaders are saying, at a certain level. Otherwise you just can't fake that kind of togetherness that you need to play 11 on 11 and smash your head into someone else for 3 hours a week. And so, it just wasn't there at the end. And, Zimmer, like, the ultimate thing is saying, no, I don't want to talk to them because they got me fired. No, you got yourself fired, Zim. Like, that's what it was. And so when you have a guy in that position, even as popular as Zimmer was for his straight talk and all of that stuff, there was no other story to write other than this is not working.
Exactly. A couple follow-up points there. I had a buddy text me, say, hey, great column on Zimmer. Man, he must have been terrible with the media. You must have hated him. I was like, well, actually, no. We kind of liked him because Zim would tell you what he thought. Zim in one sentence would give out more information than some coaches, including sometimes Kevin O'Connell, will give out in an hour, because he would just tell you, I don't like this guy. Yes. Nope. I don't want Kellen Mond on the field. Nope. I don't like this guy. He was actually good for us. He gave out information in a succinct, quotable way. And yeah, he got mad at me a couple times. I don't take it personally. Everybody gets mad at me sometimes. It's the nature of my job. He was actually a good guy to cover. But we can't ignore the reality, which he was terrible for the organization. This is a $1 billion industry. And here you have highly paid coach who basically had stopped talking to his general manager and stopped talking to his quarterback. You can't do that.
It was amazing. Yeah. I've had very few other instances in my now long journalism career where you get more out of a coach in a post-game press conference setting than we got out of Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
He would tell you exactly what he felt, exactly what he thought went wrong, who was to blame, all of those things. And we may have disagreed sometimes on his interpretation or the way that he delivered his message. And there were plenty of times where I was like, man, he probably shouldn't have said it like that because the players aren't going to like this. But I appreciated that he was honest and genuine and upfront. And I never had to sort of wonder, what does Mike think about this? Like, where does he stand on this issue? So it was so much easier to report with clarity and accuracy exactly what was going on there because there were no games being played. There's no subterfuge. I really respected that. I liked Mike Zimmer as a person. Yes, he would get grouchy and he would dismiss our questions and you could butt heads with him, but I respected I respected his knowledge and I respected the way that he went about just being himself and not trying to change himself for anyone else. Same way, I really loved Leslie Frazier as an interactive someone to talk football with. Someone who, in a different way, obviously was just a super high character, really accountable, gentleman of this game. But both of those guys, when it went poorly, you just had to say, look, it's not working, man. It just is not. And for different reasons. But yeah, like reporting, it was the same, when Zimmer told Craig about the Paul Allen stuff and like all Paul Allen was saying was, I just saw him, basically lose control of that situation, which he was right about.
Yep.
And so us reporting what is happening, doesn't change what we think of the individual, but we're there to judge the results and to report on that. And when it's not working, you got to do it. But yeah, it doesn't mean that we hated Zimmer. I certainly didn't hate Zimmer. I didn't have contempt for him at all, but I did also have to understand that this isn't working and something has to change. Either he has to change his approach or they have to change coaches. And we could see that he was never going to change his approach.
If you're in the Vikings organization and you can't get along with Paul Allen, you've lost it. Okay.
That's right. That is right. Yeah. I mean, slinging arrows at that guy who, is not going to be a way to build any kind of coalitions on your side for sure.
All right, let's get back to Vikings football 2024. We do want to thank Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Making your life better is a huge priority for us at Aquarius. It may start with providing worry-free water or heating and cooling systems you can trust, but there's another very important reason. Aquarius is family-owned and operated. We work hard to earn the right to be recommended. That means upfront, no-surprise pricing, providing a 5-star experience, and treating your home and time with respect. And knowing we're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com.
Also, a reminder, check out Minnesota Lottery Vikings Scratch Game Edition.
From the convenience stores in Cloquet to the supermarkets in St. Cloud, the Minnesota Lottery's Vikings Scratch Game is here. These are the concrete coliseums where we'll challenge chance and chase glory, where we'll gamely scratch and fearlessly scrape in pursuit of up to $100,000 in cash prizes. These are the stadiums where we come to play. Get in the game. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
And I also want to tell you about Twill in the Edina Galleria. Scott Dayton, my friend, opened Twill in 2004. He's been about 20 years now. He's been there. It's a beautiful shop in a beautiful mall. It's the only Peter Millar crown shop in the upper Midwest. I don't know. Some people might think of Peter Millar as fancy. All I know is I wear the stuff and just so comfortable. He introduced me to Johnny O. Like a third of my stuff now is Johnny O stuff. Grayson, my best dress shirts are Stenstrom. Some of my best casual shirts are Stenstroms. I bought shoes there, suits, sports coats, and I use my own money. I do not ask for a discount. I spend my own money there because I love the stuff and it lasts forever. I highly recommend, whether it's a gift, whether it's a gift card, whether it's something for yourself, for a friend, go to Twill in the Edina Gallery and check out twillmn.com for all the great stuff. All right, give me a couple players, a few Viking employees who, if they really excel, they could turn this into a good season.
Yeah, well, let's go like beyond, I guess, the obvious of Sam Darnold for me.
And pretty much non-quarterbacks I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I do think that I think Stephon Gilmore is an enormous piece going into this season, arriving a little late, certainly a little bit older, but still very accomplished, a very talented player at an extreme position of need for this team. And he's been, I think this is his fifth team in 5 years. He has played at a high level at every place he's been. It's just like, what has caused him to keep bouncing around is one of my questions about him. But given all of the other issues that they have at cornerback, if he can come in and just solidify it and be the number one guy on the outside for them, I think it changes things dramatically for this defense. And so I'm going to go with him. And I'm going to go with, the other thing I'm going to go with is TJ Hawkinson in terms of if he can get back earlier than maybe expected. The sooner he can get back to the Vikings offense, I think the better chances that Sam Darnold has of that this whole offense has of being effective. If he's going to miss half the season or something like that, that's going to be a bigger issue that is going to be a harder obstacle for this offense to overcome.
Agreed. I'm going to go with Dallas Turner. They already lost.
Yeah, I was going to take him too. That's a good one.
And we can go back and forth and try a few different names here. I think Van Ginkel and Grenard are established good players. I think they'll be good players in this system. Cashman's a good player. The front seven has a chance to be really good. If Dallas Turner adds to that, if he is suddenly coming off the edge and just blowing up offenses, and offenses have to pay attention to him, the front seven could be really good. And then with, of course, that leads to your point about Gilmore. Now with Gilmore and veteran cornerbacks behind that, playing for a coach who should be able to use them very well, I think that then all of a sudden maybe you become a team that can win with defense if the offense doesn't screw up.
Great point. I think I just think that what we saw from this defense over the last couple of years is you need dynamic athletes over there. You need to start to inject more youth, more athleticism, more overpowering specimens on that side, on a group that was getting older. And Dallas Turner is nothing if not that. And so I'm really excited to see how he handles being a rookie in this league, how they phase him into what they're doing, how they manage his workload, all of those things. But when you just look at the dude as a human being, he's a monster. And I think they need more of those guys on this team. They had Danielle Hunter, they lost him. You just need those big, nasty guys who can blow up a play just on sheer talent, physical talent. And so I think that it may take a little while for him to settle in and get all the nuances and all of those things. But his ability to wreck individual plays, I think, is there right now. And so I think that's going to be a huge barometer on how good this defense really can be.
Yes. Another name I'll throw out, Aaron Jones. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to run the ball effectively. Aaron Jones, to me, is a master at taking a simple handoff or a simple swing pass and getting you a first down, getting you a big play. If he can do that, then maybe he can elevate Darnold and completely different players and different different spots in their career. But, when Aaron Jones was on the field last year, Jordan Love looked like a great quarterback. If Aaron Jones can elevate the offense with the way he plays, he can make the offensive line look maybe a little bit better than it is. Maybe he can make Sam Darnold look a little bit better than he is.
Yeah, I love it. Staying healthy obviously is going to be a big thing for him. And I'll even take a little offshoot of that and with the name that I'll put out there, but somewhat related, is like Ed Ingram. Is he going to be a player that can at least be relied upon play in and play out. Just be solid. Like, I don't think the Vikings need him to be a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro guard. But if we can stop seeing the plays after plays in games where either it's a penalty or he's just getting blown by, and the play is getting blown up by interior pressure that comes generally from Ed Ingram's way, I think that will do a lot to solidify what an offensive line that has taken good strides. You have Darrisaw and O'Neal. You have solid guys across the board there, but Ed Ingram needs to be solid, and he cannot be a liability at that spot. If he is, there's still going to be times that they have a real struggle to contain the interior pressure, to manage it both in the running game and the passing game. And if he can just hold his own, I think that just makes things a lot easier for this offense to operate, opens up a little bit more for Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, gives Sam Darnold just a little bit more time to relax. I think that's a big part of what this offense is going to look like, is how this offensive line takes another step forward. And Ed Ingram is the guy, I think, with the biggest question mark surrounding him going into this season on that group.
That's good. It'll also be interesting to see if Bradbury, saying he's added quality, weight, and strength, can stand up to Lawrence in the opener. That'll be interesting too. All right, let's do this. Let's wrap this show with prediction of Vikings record and prediction of the Super Bowl. I'll start while you think about it. I'm going to go, my over-under on Vikings wins is probably 7 unless I see more. So I'm going to start with 7-11 or 7-10 going into the season is my pick. My Super Bowl pick, Chiefs over the Lions in overtime. Mahomes scrambling in for the winning touchdown.
Woo, boy, that's awfully specific. I love it. I think that I was looking at 7 wins. I'm going to go 6. Just, not only just to be a little different, but I just given their schedule, given some of the injuries, given the questions around Sam Darnold, I just can't, and the depth of the division, I just can't see them getting to 8 or 9. 7 would be would be a solid season for this roster. So, I still think I'm going to go 6. And just think that, whether it's another injury or 2 that come up, or just an inability to rise to the occasion of a very difficult schedule, especially early on in the season, I think that can wreak havoc with them early on and make it tougher if they win 1 or 2 games in their first 8. It's just going to be a slog going the rest of the way. Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I love the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions as well. I'm going to take the Lions over, and I'm going to go just a little bit different because I think the Chiefs are clearly the best team. No team has won 3 in a row.
Yep.
And so maybe there's just something in the makeup of a football season, especially now a 17-game one, that just makes it really impossible to keep sustaining this greatness, even though Mahomes is fantastic. I think they're better offensively than they were last year. Their defense is great. I have no reason to doubt them other than just the entirety of NFL history says it won't happen. So if it won't happen, I'm going to go with Cincinnati. And if Burrow can stay healthy and go with it, I'm just going to I really love Burrow. He's one of my favorite players when he is fully healthy. If they can keep him upright, I'm going to go Lions over the Bengals. I think both Kansas City and Houston are teams to watch in that mix as well. But I'm going to shoot it for Lions over Bengals in the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, the good thing about the Vikings is no matter what happens, they will be interesting. It is the most interesting franchise in the world. I might be overstating it a little bit, but that's the way I feel about it. So stick with us here on the Viking Update Show. Also check out Jeff Diamond's Vikings and NFL Insider with the former Vikings general manager. Check out the John Krawczynski Show on the Wolves, who are going to be fascinating as well all year. Welcome to our new sponsors, Natrium and Minnesota Scratch Game, Vikings Scratch Game Lottery. Let's have a fun year. Thanks for listening.